June 18, 1815. One afternoon decided the fate of Europe. That afternoon, the Imperial Guard shattered Wellington's defensive center at La Haye-Sainte. The critical failure involved the timing of the advance, demonstrating a strategic vulnerability that proved fatal to the Allied strategy. The failure was compounded by the critical delay in communication, specifically the inability of Blücher's Prussians to link up with the main French force in time. Napoleon's genius emerged in committing his reserve forces at the precise, decisive hour when the battle demanded ultimate leadership. This moment illustrates the sheer force of his will, transforming a chaotic situation into an undeniable military triumph for France. The psychological collapse began immediately as the Allied coalition witnessed the unstoppable advance of the French eagles across the field. The coordinated retreat became a frantic scramble as sovereigns fled from Brussels and Vienna in a desperate, disorganized flight. Marshal Ney's relentless pursuit ensured that the British forces could not execute a disciplined retreat toward the safety of the coast. In London, the political earthquake rocked the foundations of the government as the Liverpool ministry faced immediate and profound ruin. The vacuum left by the fallen ministry rapidly allowed the Whig faction to seize immediate and dominant control of the British political landscape. Tsar Alexander faced an impossible dilemma, forced to choose between continuing the devastating war or seeking a necessary continental settlement. The ultimate consequence materialized in the Treaty of Paris, where France successfully retained its natural frontiers and vital territories like the Rhineland. Kings and emperors abandon Brussels in panic. Carriages race through rain-slicked streets. Crowns are left behind in hotel suites. The Austrian emperor packs his bags as French patrols approach the city gates. Diplomats burn ciphered letters in courtyard braziers. Marshal Ney's lancers sweep the coastal roads. British infantry scatters into forests, abandoning wagons and wounded comrades. News of Waterloo's reversal shatters Parliament. Ministers resign as Whigs seize power, vowing to treat with Paris. In his winter palace, the Tsar stares at a map of Europe. His generals urge war. His heart seeks the continental accord. French and Allied envoys work by candlelight in Versailles. The Rhineland remains French. Belgium gains neutrality under Paris Guarantee. The Admiralty orders fleet concentration at Portsmouth. Trade embargoes prepare as Britain readies for maritime containment. Blücher's battered columns rally behind the Rhine. Fortress garrisons strengthen as couriers ride toward Russian headquarters. From Antwerp to Liège, civic leaders raise the tricolor. French garrisons arrive to find flowers strewn on cobblestone streets. Consols plummet as investors flee British bonds. Rothschild agents buy low, sensing opportunity in the new Franco-British stalemate. Iron foundries in Lorraine increase output. Rail barons receive imperial charters to build lines toward the Ruhr and Rhine. In the Asturias Mountains, rebel leaders clean their weapons. Word of Waterloo's turn spreads through hidden networks. This is just the beginning. Subscribe to see more amazing content. Fire. From Lisbon to Moscow, citizens await the next move. Will peace hold? Or will the eagle's wings stir new storms across Europe? The survival of the Napoleonic Code became the essential legal bedrock for all subsequent European states. This legal framework ensured standardized property rights across a continent previously defined by warring monarchies. The code provided a unifying, rational structure that transcended old feudal divisions and regional conflicts. Decades later, this legal consistency allowed for unprecedented economic integration across the nascent states. French state-directed investment in rail and steel accelerated industrialization across the continent dramatically. This early industrial acceleration created a powerful, unified economic engine far ahead of its historical timeline. The unified economy fostered a deep, lasting Franco-German collaboration that shaped subsequent political realities. This shared economic destiny meant that subsequent conflicts were less about war and more about industrial competition. The suppression of reactionary nationalism meant the explosive energy of 1848 never manifested as widespread revolution. The resulting political landscape saw a unified German confederation built upon French hegemony rather than Prussian militarism. This centralized structure effectively redirected the simmering rivalries between the major European powers toward a different focus. The great Anglo-French rivalry transformed into an intense, sustained Cold War defined by economic and colonial maneuvering. The colonial rivalry shifted focus from battlefield conquest to complex diplomatic maneuvering in distant territories. This redirection meant that the focus of global power moved away from continental warfare toward maritime and imperial control. The long peace created a cultural flowering, known as the Belle Époque, fueled by stable economic growth and collaboration. The stability allowed for unparalleled cultural and artistic expression across the newly integrated European territories. The freedom from constant military mobilization allowed intellectual pursuits to flourish without the shadow of imminent war. This era demonstrated that political peace is not merely the absence of fighting, but the presence of shared legal and economic structures. The Congress system transforms into a permanent diplomatic forum known as the Concert of Paris, where major powers resolve disputes through negotiation rather than battlefield confrontation. In 1880, the Channel Tunnel opens as a triumph of Franco-British engineering, creating the first fixed link between London and Paris and revolutionizing cross-channel travel and trade. Without Franco-Prussian animosity, Germany never develops the Schlieffen Plan, eliminating the two-front war strategy that triggered the trench warfare of World War I. The Belle Époque flourishes indefinitely as Franco-German collaboration fuels unprecedented innovation in art, science, and luxury, turning Paris into a permanent global cultural capital. Global power stabilizes into a multipolar system with three pillars: a democratic federal Europe, an expanding United States, and a modernizing Russia, each balancing the others through diplomacy. Europe evolves into a federal union with shared institutions, a common market, and coordinated defense, preventing the nationalist rivalries that led to real-world conflicts. Without the distraction of European wars, the United States focuses on internal development and Pacific expansion, becoming a technological and economic leader by the early 20th century. Freed from the need to counter German aggression, Russia invests heavily in education and rail infrastructure, accelerating its modernization without the trauma of devastating wars. Anglo-French colonial competition evolves into a managed rivalry focused on trade and innovation rather than military conquest, avoiding the global conflicts that scarred the 20th century. Peace allows sustained investment in scientific research, leading to earlier breakthroughs in electricity, aviation, and medicine, improving quality of life across the developed world decades ahead of schedule. Stable societies produce generations of artists and thinkers who push boundaries in music, painting, and philosophy, creating a cultural legacy that enriches human experience globally. The Concert of Paris successfully mediates crises that in our timeline led to war, proving that dialogue and mutual interest can maintain continental stability for generations. The absence of industrialized trench warfare saves millions of lives, preserves cultural treasures, and allows the 20th century to unfold as an age of progress rather than perpetual mourning. Enhance your historical viewing experience with the 2000W amplifier Bluetooth Super Bass, delivering powerful sound for documentaries and music. Click the link in the description to learn more and purchase yours today. Today, the Lion's Mound stands quiet. Visitors climb its slope, gazing over peaceful fields. No smoke, no cannons, just grass and sky. Now imagine those same fields in 1815. Eagles gleam in the sun as imperial columns advance. The air shakes with drums and shouts. Victory brought change. From within, the empire began to breathe. Reforms stirred in councils. Laws softened. Representation grew. Not by revolution, but by decree. The emperor's pen granted rights no king had before. A crowned republic took shape, slow but real. But peace had a price. In Spain and Italy, imperial police watched every word. Liberty whispered was met with silent cells. Songs were banned, books burned, yet in kitchens and cellars, the old ideas persisted. Resistance wore the face of patience. Was the long peace worth it? Decades without trenches, without Somme mud, but at what cost to the soul of nations? History turns on a hinge. One afternoon, one decision, one charge of the guard. The future tilted on that moment. The future is built not on fate, but on choices, the choices of emperors, of soldiers, of ordinary people in a single afternoon. Today, the lion's mound is green, but if you listen closely, past the wind, you might hear the distant echo of eagles on the march. What if the eagles had flown not just over Waterloo, but over a continent united? A different Europe, born from one afternoon. We walk the road taken, but the road not taken calls to us. It asks, was the peace worth the crown? The answer walks with us still. Welcome. Before we begin, hit subscribe so you don't miss our daily updates. Bell next episode. A plot twist you won't expect. Subscribe now. Face screaming in fear.